I feel like you emphasized using their names. So do you find that it's incredibly important to use their names?
I think so. I think addressing them by their name shows them that you've made an effort to get to know who this person is. You know, instead of saying hello, you know, you're trying to get the name. It's almost like she's not even really remembering who I am. You know, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, but if I call you by your name right away, I call you by your name. And the good thing is that we're a small school. So usually my class, like the largest I may have is about 19, you know. We live in a community where everybody knows pretty much everybody, you know, so it's kind of easy to remember.
Before they come into your classroom, you already know their names just from around the community.
Some of them. Some of them. So that leaves me with less names to know, to get to know, you know?
Right.
Yes.
So how do you know which name to use? Because I find down here y'all have 2, 3, sometimes 4 different names. So which name is the right name?
Well, usually the first name is what they're addressed by. Of course, sometimes they come with the little name that is used around the home, but then we emphasize that the one, particularly the one that they're going to write, is the one that we use.
And so the name that's used around the home, like, is it a nickname? Like, I know Liz is also Wendy, Kalista is also Mary, like, everybody has like 2 names. So what is that 2 names? Like, why are there 2?
I'm not too sure why. Well, I mean, I know people have official second names, you know, because a lot of the times you may have people with the same first name, so the second name is important there, you know. I don't know. Well, I know for myself and my children, I have my second daughter. Everybody calls her Kayla. We call her Kayla. Kayla is not registered anyway.
Okay.
She would have been named Kayla officially, but at the time, my sister, who's her godmother, got to know that I think there were 2 other children, young children in the community, named Kayla.
Okay.
So she just switched. But we were already calling her Kayla.
Right.
So the name just stayed. Now when she went to school, all her schoolmates and teachers and everybody call her Sanya. She now lives in the States. If I go and I say Kayla, the people around her don't know who I'm calling.
Okay.
But it's hard for me to say Sanya because all along everybody, you know, home, friends, we've been saying Kayla.
Okay, so her official name on her passport is Sanya.
Sanya, yes.
But you all called her Kayla for so long before you officialized that name that it's just...
It just stayed, yes.
Okay,
it just stayed. So I think that's what happened with a lot of people. Yes.
They come up with the name, and then when it's time to actually sign the birth certificate, they've got something else in mind for whatever reason. Okay.
Yes, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay. And the pronunciation is another thing that's interesting. For those of us that aren't from the Caribbean, there's certain pronunciations that, like, we read the name and we're way off. I remember I had a friend who, he was working with a student and the name was spelled M-A-R-L-Y. So he calls the student Marley. And for like half the term he's saying Marley. And then another teacher over here is just like, why are you calling him Marley? His name's Molly. And I guess that's how they pronounced it. So instead of saying like Marley, it's Molly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he didn't know that because just reading it and the kid never corrected him.
Yeah.
But then we run into that and like these little different ways of pronouncing the name. I think because of the Creole language. There's sort of the American way of saying something and then there's the Creole way.
Yes, I think sometimes the stress is on maybe the second syllable, but when you say it, the stress is on the first syllable. You know, those little variations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and those are challenges we run into sometimes. We don't intend to say it wrong, but I do think that getting, not just using the child's name, but getting the pronunciation right does make a difference in that child sort of feeling seen and feeling like they're part of the classroom.
Yes, but I mean, to be... let's say in your case, I don't think they will feel offended because I don't know if you ever experienced it. Sometimes when you come and you call them by that name that's a little differently pronounced than what they know, sometimes they just giggle.
Yeah.
You know, they just giggle, or you just hear a whole bunch of them correcting you, telling you the right thing, you know. What happens to me sometimes, if I forget the name, I quickly call them by the parents' name because I know all the parents. Many of them I taught as well. So if the mother's name is Lisa, I say, I'm little Lisa. You know, and then they start beaming and everything because they know they're making that little connection. It's like, oh, she knows my mother. And then I tell them, yes, I know you're little Lisa. I taught your mother, you know, and then we just have a little conversation right away.
Okay.
Yeah, so they take it